All right, it is 10 o'clock. Good morning and welcome to the December 6th, 2023 meeting of the Curriculum Instruction Committee. And seems that there is no public comment at this time. The minutes from November 8th, did you have any corrections or additions, Mr. J?
I do not.
I was not at that meeting, but we will let them stand. We'll give Ms. Allen a chance to make any corrections. And I think, knowing how we usually go anyway, we save our comments or questions or during the session since we're on time crunch. We will get right into our presentation.
Yeah, so good morning. I'm Kevin Cuppet. I'm the Chief Academic Officer here in Frederick County Public Schools, and we're pleased to have two content area updates. These come to the C&I Committee on an annual basis at some point during the year. And these two presentations kind of fall under that well-rounded curriculum. As you remember how we had organized the meetings this year. So we have both visual performing arts and health and physical education. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Kim Hirschman, who's our secondary VPA, Visual Performing Arts Curriculum Specialist, and Susan Thomas, who's our elementary curriculum specialist for visual performing arts. And I'll turn it over to them to give their update. So thank you for being here, ladies.
Thank you. So I'm Kim Hirschman, the curriculum specialist for secondary visual and performing arts, and I believe I'm first, yes. Okay, so from our Academy for the Fine Arts program, some points to note for this year. We are one of 8 counties in Maryland that have a college and career prep program for the arts. Our acceptance rate is currently about 55% due to our physical space limitations at Governor Thomas Johnson High School. We did have a highly successful AFA summer camp, which targets students in grades 3 through 5 from a particular group of schools. And we had we were rated highly effective by 100% of the parent respondents on the survey. We are working to sort of revamp our digital art focus for 2024 and 2025 as students audition and apply for that particular strain of the program. And we have some just future plans to expand potentially into creative writing and stage production focus areas that will help align with some of the Blueprint initiatives.
Mr. Hirschman, real quick before you move, is this still AFA? No, okay. Just real quick, for the public, how many students are about currently enrolled in AFA?
There are around 100.
Okay.
That is not the perfect number, which I can get for you. But
Okay, that's
about,
okay.
All right, for secondary music, so some things to note, we had an increase in middle school music enrollment due to our change in the scheduling model that we implemented this year. We also had an increase in students auditioning for our middle school all-county music ensembles. And I did want to highlight, this is off script, but we did receive our results from the Maryland All-State auditions, and we have 23 students represented in 8 of the 9 Maryland All-State ensembles this year. So that was a huge accomplishment. I wanted to be sure to add that. And because of our growth, we are using some fine arts grant funding to purchase our instruments to help support that higher enrollment. We are still revamping our music performance lab curriculum. Because of the increase in enrollment, we want to make sure that we're providing engaging materials, appropriate materials in those courses that are increasing in enrollment. We are piloting an assessment tool in Performance Matters for our middle school performing ensembles. And at the high school level, we are beginning to introduce some of the dual enrollment opportunities for students across the county for high school-based dual enrollment. And we do have students that are accessing a lot of open campus opportunities at FCC in the music department. In visual art, again, we have an increase in enrollment due to the scheduling model change. We are piloting a new benchmark system for our high school programs to closely align with our national core art standards. And again, we are continuing to expand our high school-based dual enrollment offerings in visual art. In dance, a celebration, we have 4 FCPS students representing FCPS in the Maryland All-State program, which is Friday, January 5th at Goucher College. Thank you. And we have schools represented at the Maryland State Dance Festival as well, Tuscarora High School, Urbana High School, Governor Thomas Johnson and the Academy for the Fine Arts. And I do want to add, there is going to be a keynote presentation from our Urbana High School dance instructor as a part of her master's presentation that she's giving in the morning for the Maryland All-State dance.
Who is that, Kim?
Melissa Jones.
Melissa Jones.
We are looking to expand in the Academy for the Fine Arts and offer musical theater dance styles, which is an FCC dual enrollment opportunity for the musical theater program. And of course, continued collaboration with FCC to increase open campus opportunities in dance. In theater, last year we sort of reinvigorated our high school theater festival in collaboration with FCC, so we will again have that festival in March. We are investigating potential industry recognized credentials for theater that align with the Blueprint Career and Technology Education pathway. So things like the stage production, theater technical programs. And then again, expanding the high school-based dual enrollment offerings as we can to include Theater 100. And in media arts, so we had our new digital media arts course this year, and in year one, we had 1,787 students access that class, which is a pretty outstanding number for a brand new course. And we do need to continue to develop that curriculum for 8th grade. We started with a 1-year curriculum, and we'll add on the next year. And again, in high school media arts, we're looking to expand our high school-based dual enrollment offerings to include the courses listed: film study, graphic design, visual photo.
So there's a lot going on there. I did want to go, you saw obviously a lot of exploration of dual enrollment. And one of the things that the Blueprint is silent on is a lot of conversation around the arts. And, we have, the Blueprint can't address everything, but we know that we have a significant number of students who are very passionate about arts pathways. And so we wanted to make sure that we could work with FCC to have some pathways laid out for students who are interested in the arts. We do see a significant enrollment over in Open Campus, and so the opportunity to bring some of that into our high school-based program, we're hoping we can do that. I wanted to thank Kim and our friends at FCC for having an ongoing dialogue. It's not easy to pull these courses in. It takes some work and time and energy, so I wanted to thank her for that, among all of the other things she does for secondary BPA. So at this point, are there any questions from the board?
Mr. J. Nancy, do you have any questions on secondary visual and performing arts?
No, I just wanted to say, I think they have one small question, but I wanted to thank them for their focus on enrollment growth, and that was awesome. Your collaborations and growth, and congratulations on the accolades as well. I had a quick question. Students who are like very passionate and go on at the high school to audition for performing arts colleges, do we offer them use of our facilities to like do their audition tapes?
I would say yes. Most of the high school directors facilitate assisting students with that process in any way they can, whether it's through some sort of extended learning time that they have throughout the day or staying after school.
Awesome, thank you.
I don't have anything to add. I apologize for being a few minutes late. But thank you. I appreciate learning this information today. So something, just to put in my pocket about the fine arts that are being offered.
Yeah, Nancy, you came in right as the first presentation started, so you were absolutely fine. I didn't want to interrupt to tell you that, but you absolutely, your timing was perfect. And when you get a chance, if you can visit the Academy of Fine Arts at Thomas Johnson, that would give you a really good idea. It's just a very warm and welcoming feeling. The kids talk about that when they do videotapes, like during COVID. I remember they had videotapes. They talk about kind of finding their home and feeling like it's a family. And Mr. Kurtz, Jonathan Kurtz, was our Frederick County Teacher of the Year and the state finalist last year. And you just see how hard he works, how hard all our teachers work. But so did you have anything else, Nancy?
I did not, thank you.
I did want to, if you could go back, I missed the exact slide, maybe around 7. And it talked about blueprint alignment.
The
Blueprint
industry
career
recognized
tech.
credentials.
Yes. Do you have any idea of what, or you're just in the beginning phases?
It's in the very beginning phases. We are still at the state level fine arts program working with CTE to really get a firm definition of what would qualify for an industry recognized credential. So as soon as we have a clearer picture of what that means, we can start to put our pieces together. So we're working with them on the state level and then some ideas floating around with FCC as well.
Very good. Yeah, I like all the opportunities. And I don't know if you're aware, but former board member Zakir Bengali from a while back, his son is in his Broadway production. I think he was more in engineering, but he went to production where I think he worked on Beetlejuice when he was on Frederick County student.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Ms. Yoho, before we move to
Yes.
health physical education, we do have a member of the public that wanted to provide public comment.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I thought she said no when I
No.
looked over. Yes.
It's based on what you're talking about, and it's interesting you brought up Beetlejuice. My daughter graduated Urbana High School in 2010, I don't remember, but she is about to have something come out on Amazon Prime, and she went to SVA, School of Visual Arts in New York City, and one of her voice actors is a guy who was Beetlejuice on Broadway. And she went to Urbana Elementary. There was a guy named Springer, I think, the art teacher there, a long time ago, and got into animation. And it's a great program. I'm so happy. This is wonderful. It's not why I came here today, but what you're talking about is close to my heart. And Frederick County is a wonderful place to raise your kids. And thank you.
Thank you.
For all
Well, you are allowed to get up and say that anytime. You warm all of our hearts because, that is, we're just all about giving our students opportunities and so that they'll go out and make a good and happy life. That's, I think, what we're all about. So.
All right, good morning. My name is Susan Thomas. I am the curriculum specialist for visual and performing arts for our younger learners in grades pre-K through 5. And I am continually grateful to present after Kim because a lot of what she says also applies to my content level as well. So probably the biggest undertaking that we are exploring this year in VPA in general music, visual art, and instrumental music is implementing Performance Matters and deciding how it can look for teachers, offering the autonomy, which is what really appeals to me, because when I came here 20 years ago, we had the CREST test, which was an absolute nightmare for students and teachers. It was very stressful. And throughout the years, we continue to revamp how we want to assess and collect data on student performance and achievement, but it tended to be very paper-based. And as a musician myself, I realized that wasn't my best way of learning. If I could play an instrument or if I could sing, I can still demonstrate my knowledge and mastery. So Performance Matters provides teachers, and I'm working with teams of teacher leaders in all content areas to best decide what the categories are, but to allow teachers to adapt how they assess to what best fits the needs of students, particularly because many of my teachers are in split positions in very different demographics that have different needs, that have different starting points with how they're going to achieve our curriculum in the arts. So it's a work in progress. We'll see how it goes this year. We'll sit down again as leadership teams to say, okay, here's what worked, here's what didn't work. But we also want to be a part of Performance Matters, which we haven't been until this point. And through, the rest of the bullet points really does just address Performance Matters. We're collecting data. We're using it to have a comprehensive view rather than a paper score, which may not be indicative of a child's achievement in the arts anymore. And we also have had teachers have exemplars created for pre-K through grade 5 in visual art and general music, and in instrumental music, of course, that's just grades 4 and 5, but those exemplars exist as well. We continue to provide resources for our students and teachers to have cross-curricular and cultural experiences in the arts. That it's been very joyful to see how many teachers say, I didn't even know these songs existed. I didn't know this artist was out there. I didn't know, and how much they embrace being able to provide a more global arts experience for our students. We continue with our annual opportunity for EVPA. It's geared as part of the Rise and Thrive program for our new teachers, but it is open to every EVPA teacher to come to Rock Creek School for 2 hours of professional learning as to what resources are available and what materials teachers can use to work with students who have particular challenges or needs in the arts classrooms. We also have the self-paced learning modules. There are over 30 hours for every content area that teachers can access 24/7 that are targeted towards how do I begin a course? I've never done this before. Or how do I use for art, maybe tertiary colors? What lesson plans are out there? So we have plenty of opportunities for teachers to learn content, to learn technique, to engage in workshops, and to learn how to best address the needs of students. We also created lists of adapted materials, and this is kind of connected to the Rock Creek experience of if you have students that have motor movement challenges, here are some scissors that are connected, here are foam grips that you can use for mallet instruments. And I've also been working this year with Leslie Fry in early childhood to continue to provide materials for pre-K. When I came here to Frederick County, the buzz was all of a sudden we have kindergarten having music. And I came from a county that I was used to that. And now it seems the circle is coming back around that now it's pre-K. And what do I do when 27 3-year-olds come into the classroom? We don't have none of our series books in any content area address pre-K specifically. So Leslie has been wonderful as far as working with myself and my teacher leaders to say, okay, if we're teaching pre-K, what do we really need to have, especially in those split positions, to ensure that every building has a set of materials to address pre-K needs. So in instrumental music, we're also working with an achievement skills document. And we revisit this annually because instrumental music is a co-curricular program. They don't receive report card grades. Their participation is voluntary, but we are continually revisiting how to best communicate with caregivers of what your child is doing and to answer questions as far as performance opportunities and how progress is monitored. Now, every team's a little bit different, and that's okay. But what we've done this year is we've looked again at the middle school pacing guides to create a more comprehensive instrumental instruction experience. Instead of this is elementary band, and then they move on to middle school, and has been traditionally a disconnect. And Kim has been great. We've worked multiple times at trying to make this a more comprehensive experience in the instrumental program. Visual art, again, is very similar to general music. With self-paced professional learning, visual art teachers in particular have asked for resources regarding social emotional learning. So we do have on our website some self-paced learning opportunities for teachers that want to embrace visual art as a means for students to be able to express themselves emotionally. We also have resources to implement stations in visual art classroom for those who would like to have student voice and choice and for kids to be able to decide for themselves what they want to engage in on a curricular topic, but whether or not they are hands-on at one station or they're having direct instruction with the teacher. We do encourage that as well. And again, a list of adapted art materials that's available for students and exemplars for assessments in grades pre-K through 5. Thank you.
Mr. Janice Allen, any questions for elementary art and music?
No questions, accolades. That is the D's needs. I really enjoyed hearing about that. Just a couple of these opportunities for our kids in pre-K to get that exposure and then kind of that walk up towards high school. I did have one question. I'm thinking xylophone. What other instrument do they use in pre-K?
The instruments that are available for pre-K are pre-K tends to use percussive instruments such as rhythm sticks. In pre-K, we don't tend to use the mallet instruments in that there is a lot of preemptive training as far as how to use them and transporting them, particularly for a teacher who does not have their own classroom. We really can't stack up all of those instruments, so we use a lot of shakers, we use a lot of scarves, lummi sticks, tambourines, hand drums. Once they get into kindergarten and the educational experience is a little more level, then we start introducing other instruments.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure.
Ms. Allen, any questions?
I don't, but thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I have two things, not really questions, but more comments. Mr. Rose and I were at Oakdale Elementary, which I taught at, left there like less than 7 years ago, school years, and it was under 700. It's now over 1,100 kids. But with the expansion of pre-K, so that was a challenge there, but with the expansion of pre-K, what we learned is the programs that we have in our high school, the specialist teachers have to go to the high school to teach the pre-K. I'm thinking, I don't know what I was thinking. That was a revelation, and also just those logistics, and that's something that we did not know. I don't think any of the board members are aware of that. So just the challenges in meeting these state requirements. And we're like, oh, isn't this great? We're finding all these ways. We're putting preschool and the high schools with the high school students. That's great. Not thinking the elementary principal still has to go and the administration has to go and the specialist teachers have to go. So interesting. But the other thing that I've started bringing up, because an elementary music teacher, instrumental music teacher, had said something to me about how hard it is sometimes for them to find places, because they're only there 1 day a week, to then have the students come practice, and they're sometimes almost in a closet. And so whenever we see new schools being built elementary, this is something I bring up. And we just saw Yellow Springs schematic at our last meeting. And Dr. Levo said, because it had been brought up, and I only brought it up because somebody I know brought it up to me, they are looking at that as they are configuring new elementary schools. So that's how input from teachers and how all of us working together to meet the needs of the staff and students.
I appreciate that. Yes, space is definitely at a premium for elementary instrumental teachers, for sure.
All right, thank you very much.
So I did want to thank Susan for the work that she's done. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that happens in both these content areas, but her attention to pre-K in this emerging area has been excellent. And her attention to the fact that there are a wide variety of learners. You can see that in the presentation with adaptive materials and looking at cultural proficiency. And, looking at my own visual arts training, the program that I attended was very Western art heavy. And that's why a lot of our teachers maybe have not had the exposure to the arts around the world. And so I appreciate the attention to that she and her team put in there. Very exciting.
Yes.
Thank you both. You're free to run the plan. Yeah. So we're going to switch gears. I think it might just blink out. We're going to switch gears and we're going to bring up Jamie Hitchner, who is our curriculum specialist for elementary health and physical education, and Brian Griffith, who is our secondary curriculum specialist for health and physical education. They're going to give an update on the work that's occurring in their two content areas. So, gentlemen, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I'm Brian Griffith. I'm a secondary specialist. I'm the one who's going to be starting the updates for health and PE. I want to start off with secondary health education. A lot of our emphasis has been on the new graduation requirement for health education, Health 2, is what we call it in Frederick County. one of the nice things we've been trying to provide as much opportunity and support and collaboration for our teachers who are actually implementing Help To. So we were lucky to have a summer training where one person from every school, we know there are more people who are doing it, but we were kind of using the trainer model in order to just have that one person come together, support, and then go back and train and work with their other teachers. But we were also able to have a Help To collaboration at our August PD. We're planning another one for our January PD. So as teachers are implementing this, having them come together, share best practices, share ideas, and everything else. So we also were able to have an opportunity this fall at our annual Family Life and Substance Abuse training to have another opportunity where those teachers could come together after implementing it for a few weeks to try and figure out and just come together and share ideas and best practices. Our teachers have found that very beneficial. One of the other things is that we also will be offering a dual enrollment course. So we've been working with Noah Gibson at FCC, and we will have that as part of our opportunities next school year. And then the other thing is that the state hopefully will be releasing soon a virtual option for Help To. So there's a Help To virtual option, a Health One virtual option that are both in development, both in final stages of approval at MSDE, and hopefully those will be released soon. So we've been working closely with Mike Watson Virtual to support that. In middle school health education, what we've really been trying to focus on is our benchmarks and looking at the assessments that students are being provided and supporting teachers in implementation of those benchmarks. So looking at, in that short window of 45 days, how are we best using that time? How are we best using the students' time? Making sure that those formative assessment checks are in place as well in order to support movement towards mastery of that skills and content that we're expecting in health education. So we've really been trying to look at looking at the big benchmarks, but also those formative assessments. So those little bits and pieces, checks that teachers are providing to our students. And then making sure that as we go back to that skills base, making sure that our students know health literacy. We want students to be healthy and fit for a lifetime, not just in our schools, not just in pre-K to 8, pre-K to 12, but how are they doing that and how they're incorporating those skills. So we've really been encouraging, especially at the middle school level, to have a dedicated health-only teacher. So making sure that there is one teacher that provides that instruction and can lead the other departments. We know that our schools don't have the staffing in order to have multiple teachers in that health, but at least to have one health education teacher, and then they can provide and support the other teachers. Just having that one teacher do it for 45 days once a year, we know that's not the best practice of being implemented. Some other professional development opportunities we've had for our teachers is 2 separate opportunities, one on sexual abuse and assault, and then the other one is suicide awareness and prevention. So the sexual abuse and assault is a module that's provided by the state. And so we were able to provide that training to our teachers, and it is a free module that anyone can access. And we were lucky to have some funds available to support teachers and pay them to actually participate in that training. The others are suicide awareness and prevention, kind of the same thing. We were lucky to have some funds for our teachers to participate in that. Both of those resources are available. As I said, if those teachers are only teaching it one time per year for 45 days, how they access those resources. So both of those opportunities are available 24/7, 12 months out of the year, so our teachers can reflect on that training and information prior to providing instruction in those topic areas, and that's what we encourage them to do. On the physical education side, what we've really been focusing on a lot, we spent a lot of time when I first started in this position looking at Fitness for Life, our graduation requirement. What we've been looking at lately is our elective opportunities and making sure that teachers are providing opportunities of differentiation between the different levels. We don't want to teach students in strength training, what's the difference between level 1 and level 4? Oh, they're lifting more weight. No, that's not best practice. What exactly are they doing? And our teachers are really focusing on those students to provide leadership opportunities to other students. So those level 3 and level 4 are not only lifting, but they're also providing instruction and support for those other students in the classes. And they're actually taking leadership and management. Some of the teachers call them general managers and coaches and strength coaches and everything like that as they're moving forward with those opportunities. And so they're really doing a fantastic job of increasing the opportunities and learning for our students. And then also, we really are encouraging a lot of students to take that second half credit in that 11th and 12th grade year to match with Health 2 as an elective, and we're still encouraging that. Due to our partnership with FCC and the Health 150 for dual enrollment for Health 2, we are also looking to expand opportunities in dual enrollment for physical education. We are hopefully going to start in the next few years a program where students can hopefully get their personal training certificate, starting out within Frederick County Public Schools through the dual enrollment, finishing it up at FCC, and then becoming certified so that they can actually go out in the workforce and be personal paid trainers. So hopefully we'll be getting that. Noah Gibson has done a fantastic job at FCC, really expanding the program, really focusing on and coming in alignment to national standards as well. And so hopefully that will be one thing, but we're also looking at a public health exploration as well, and just trying to level up and increase our opportunities that we're providing to our students. And then again, kind of to copy the Montgomery County Community College model, is looking at how we can prepare students to become physical education teachers as well. And so it was a program that was there a few years ago, and hopefully we're going to be bringing that opportunity back so that our students could actually in high school start taking some courses, support that for the first 2 years at FCC, and then hopefully transfer to a state university in order to become a PhD. With middle school, what we've really been trying to do, again, is differentiate learning for our students and provide opportunities, a variety of opportunities for engagement and activities. Again, we know what the statistics show. Statistics show that adults do not participate in team sports, but they do want to be healthy and fit. So how are we taking that information and reflecting it in the instruction that we're providing to our students? So taking a look at providing a variety of activities. Should not just be providing soccer, basketball, volleyball, kind of traditional things, but taking a look at games from across the world and incorporating some of those activities, as well as individual opportunities for our students to participate and be physically active. Again, just as health literacy for health education, physical literacy, we want everyone moving for at least 60 minutes a day, every single day, but it should be something that they enjoy and want to do. So how are we teaching kids to provide those opportunities? Again, as I just said, we want kids to participate in that personal trainer certificate, but there's a lot of information that our teachers are providing that can do a lot of those different things. So taking a look at what some of those different unit plans are and how they can incorporate that in that middle school level to lead into high school, so that hopefully we increase enrollment in our elective courses. And then again, so hopefully everyone is physically active on a daily basis. Thank you.
Any questions about secondary health physical education?
Yes, I have a question. Thank you for the presentation. I had a question about two things. One, I wanted to know what are the content areas, and is there a focus on content areas for teachers who are not focused on health in middle school? What are their crossover content areas? Is it any content area, or is it focused like science, that kind of thing? And then second to that question, for the certification program, which is awesome that we have that, is that offered everywhere or just at CTC?
The certification program for personal trainer, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
So hopefully that is going to be able to be offered at all of our high schools.
But it's in development.
But it's in development, yes.
Wonderful.
They are creating that they have fully implemented that program at FCC, and there are, we believe, a few courses that we could start having kids. One of the issues is that you have to be 18 years old in order to become certified and be a personal trainer. And we know do have kids that are that age and could do it, but hopefully they can start here and then finish at FCC.
So they could start coursework prior to turning 18.
Correct.
Wouldn't be able to certify. And I think that would be an interesting pathway for a student who, I could see them going away to college and actually working in either the health and wellness center at the college itself or in nearby. My son did a little bit of that while he was in college. He worked in a health and wellness center. Especially if they're choosing a career pathway associated with physical rehab or anything related to sports management. I could see students really being drawn into the opportunity to get some of that taken care of here in high school. Mr. J, your first question was something about certificate or what content areas teachers were teaching. Could you repeat that one for us?
content areas for the middle school, when they're not teaching health, it's not their area of focus. What is their main focus? Like, is it like English teaching health, or is it like science teaching health?
Most
content area crossover.
There are a few opportunities where teachers are not health and PE certified. And that's usually to fill in that hole in some of our schedules because there's not a health and PE teacher available. But most of our teachers are health and physical education certified.
Okay.
Okay? That answer your question?
For the moment, yes.
Okay. You're breaking up just a little bit, but I think you said you're good right now. Ms. Allen?
I don't have anything. Actually, Mr. J asked a question that I had written down. I do have a request for information, but I'd like to send that via email to Dr. Griffith, if that's okay.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Brian. Anytime we add a new graduation requirement into the schedule, it takes a lot of thought and being deliberate about how to do that. And I think we've had a relatively smooth implementation. I do want to thank also his colleagues who have created some courses that will match up with that and help to pave the scheduling smooth for the school and for students. So very excited about that. So we're going to switch over to elementary health and physical education. So Mr. Hitchner, take it away.
Good morning. I'm Jamie Hitchner, the curriculum specialist for elementary health and physical education. Great to be here with you this morning. I think I'm going to start first with the health education for students in pre-K through 5th grade. So what we're currently doing on our level is to take a look at the instructional materials that have been previously approved and aligning them to new curriculum standards. Want to very importantly point out that we're just in the alignment phase and the development and refinement phase, that any new materials would not be implemented during this current school year. We'd have to go through the proper vetting procedures and make sure everything go through the proper approval processes that are already in place. But the key piece in our revision state right now is to align what we currently have into the new health education standards that were recently approved.
Yeah, Mr. Hitchner, if I could add to that, just a reminder to the public that our Board of Education recently changed the approval pathway for materials that fall under family life and human sexuality. A few years ago, it was changed. The FLAC was the final decision maker on that. They'll now submit recommendations to the board, and the board will now make final approval on those health materials under the category of family life and human sexuality.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
That's a good clarification. Thank you for that. And then finally, on our elementary health piece, I did want to highlight one phenomenal example that's occurring in our school system. So as you may know, we came to CNI last year to talk about good news about a program launch for our first ever elementary health educator certified, bona fide true in Hillcrest Elementary. And her name is Jennifer Mitchell. She's doing a phenomenal job now in year 2 and currently looking at the program so that the hope is just in the initial planning stages that we could expand this program into other elementary schools. So just want to highlight the good things that are happening there.
If I can just interrupt, because at the elementary level, who usually teaches the health units?
Okay, to respond quickly to that question, it's very, to use a very generic term, it's very piecemeal. Abundance of the instructional delivery comes from the classroom teacher, because, and as you well know from your experiences, sure, in the classroom, and we feel that the classroom teacher has the most seat time in front of those students for the relationship aspect, and oftentimes we talk about some very delicate topics, so we want to make sure that the student is in the most comfortable environment in order to discuss and learn about those topics. So that's a substantial reason as to why the majority of our health education is delivered through the elementary classroom teacher, but also we have the school counselor taking a role in that, and also the physical education teachers also take part in the delivery. So a little bit of a three-pronged approach, and on a very rare occasion, maybe a school nurse or a health technician will come in only to assist in that case. But thanks for asking that. Next, we have the physical education piece. There, we're looking at increasing our libraries of standards-based instructional materials. We're increasing, particularly in strategies and areas that deal with pedagogy and those instructional strategies for delivery. It's been an emphasis at the most recent professional development outings that we're not just sharing games and activities that teachers can potentially teach, but really we would miss the mark, in my opinion, if we didn't teach the teachers how to teach those and what strategies may work best with the given activities that are aligned to those standards-based outcomes. Some of those areas of focus in those instructional strategies do go hand in hand with differentiating our instruction. As Kim and Susan previously pointed out in their VPA areas, that's an area where we've, I think, made great significant progress working with not only students that have adapted PE needs, which we'll talk about here shortly, but just differentiating instruction for all learners and anyone, regardless. And that comes in the form also of level challenges. By level challenges, we try to allow those students to kind of determine their own entry point. Recently, I had a pre-observation conference with a teacher, had a wonderful discussion about just giving those students the autonomy of choice to find their entry point, because if it's a direct style of lecture and stand and deliver, you may only be meeting the needs of about 20% of your audience, because the other 80% might have outside of school background, might have some experiences that they're bringing from other environments, other places. And so just to give the idea of, let's present these topics or these instructional modules in level challenges so that we'll find our entry point and we'll grow wherever we start. And so everybody starts at a different starting point, but hopefully the hope is to at least get to a common landing point and then see if we can excel and go beyond the expectations. And then lastly, from the elementary physical education side, like our colleagues that have already shared today, there has been an emphasis on pre-kindergarten instructional, both instructional strategies and models and materials of instruction. Again, I want to give a quick shout out to Leslie Fry. We've been working very, very closely with her department in early childhood to outfit our schools all the way across the board unilaterally. All schools are getting the same quantities of equipment, same types of equipment to meet their needs at the schools, and really drill down to the needs of those 4-year-old and even in some cases the 3-year-old programs. And then again, an emphasis this year has been really about a discovery learning model. It's more about exploratory, experiencing, not high stakes assessment. High stakes, you must master something. Our curriculum doesn't call for mastery of anything as a 4-year-old. So just want to make sure, teachers will be excited that I just pointed that out because they're really just more focused on providing a positive experience, a great opportunity, because that's where it all starts, to get to the programs that Brian eventually wants to move forward with in the county and making dual enrollment beyond high school graduation. So,
well, Mr. Fisher, I'll add, what we're doing in pre-K in all areas is we're really acclimating kids to school, much like we used to do in their first experience being kindergarten. And so even just the understanding how to engage in a physical education setting in a safe way is a huge learning for a small child. And then moving on to dealing with just gross motor and locomotor activities is awesome. And our teachers are really good about communicating kids, not only concepts related to physical education, but being a part of a community of learners in a very different space than we are on the carpet or in an arts classroom. So it's definitely an area of growth. I do want to shout out to both our visual performing arts and our physical education teachers that taking on a new developmentally different grade level is a challenge, and they're problem solving and working through it. So we appreciate their efforts on a day-to-day basis.
We're going to move into just kind of a subset arena of our physical education program. That is the adaptive physical education program. And also we'll talk a little bit about the health aspect as well, which is a growing area that we've done some improvements on. So just looking ahead, special education, if you may recall, we were funded 3 itinerant positions last school year. We're happy and excited to report that those 3 individuals have been fully onboarded. They've been in the positions now for over 18 months. Still, working through a growing process in terms of how we can best maximize their skills, their availability, their resources, and their skill sets, so that we can deliver the best either direct or collaborative instruction with our PE staff all the way around the county. We do realize, in a very humble sense, that 3 is unfortunately not enough for our workload that we have, but again, grateful to have those 3. When we say maximize, I think we're maximizing at this point, but then just to really how to streamline it in the most coherent and almost a most efficient way possible. So we're really, again, excited to have movement of that and again, addressing those service provisions for any students pre-K all the way out through 12th grade with abundance of those cases occurring at the elementary school level currently. But then I'm sure as we anticipate a wave, folks that are in elementary now move towards that curve when we get to the middle and then eventually to high school. The next piece, I'm going to turn it over to Brian, and he's going to share a little bit from the secondary perspective.
One of the things that we've been looking at, again, is expanding the program. How can we best support students? And one of the things is providing that inclusive class at the middle school level. We know there's a lot of variables that go into that, staffing and class sizes and everything else, but just how can we make sure that curriculum instruction is working with special ed, is working with the principals and directors in order to make sure that staffing is there, support is there in order to provide the best opportunities for our students. And then the other thing that we wanted to highlight was the Work Fit program. So we're trying to look at what are, at the high school level and at our Success program, what are the physical expectations and aligned to occupational goals. And so providing those opportunities, we're lucky to have an APE teacher from another school system who we were able to hire, Stephanie Meredith at Success program. So we're thankful that that program was able to hire a health and PE teacher with adaptive PE specialty in order to support that program there. So we're thrilled to have Stephanie there. And then just looking at supporting our teachers as well through professional learning, through collaboration. Again, we know one student is one student, not one program works everywhere. So how best can we look at what is working in some of those programs and support that in some of our other places? And again, as Jamie said, now having our 2 teacher specialists along with 3 itinerants, it goes a long way. And they're building fantastic relationships with our teachers in order to implement that. But we did also want to talk about our adaptive health resources. It was funny, we had a teacher who was in health and PE and went to CTE, and now he's kind of back doing a little bit of both. And he was amazed at how many resources are now available for teachers. He was a little hesitant to teach health, but now that he came back on board, now we have a whole lot of resources in order to help him implement adaptive health. And most of the teachers kind of the same way. Emily and Liz have done a fantastic job leading that initiative in order to support Emily Clauser, Liz Metz, in order to support the resource development and implementation and training for our teachers as well. So even though adaptive PE does fall under special education, we are still closely aligned, meeting on a regular basis in order to support them and support our teachers as well. We did want to end kind of with some of the instruction is that the National Association is looking to update our national health education and physical education standards. They should be released in a few months at the National Convention. Once they are released, the state will come together with the supervisors across the state in order to determine how we move forward. Maryland typically has very good standards, very strong standards, typically above the national standards. So we will see what happens and how we will be adapting that. But come next year at this time, we may have some more guidance on what the state is doing and how we are going to be moving forward with health and physical education standards. Just wanted to put that bug in your ear.
And we're going to conclude our presentation by just giving a few shout outs to recognize certain individuals in our programs. And so I thought we would be remiss if we didn't highlight this opportunity to just acknowledge these folks. So Justin McConaughey is the principal at Hillcrest Elementary School. He was recently the recipient of the Shape Maryland Friend of Shape Award, which can go to someone that supports the vision and mission of healthy and active lifestyles. A very distinguished honor on the state level, and he's one of our principals in Frederick County. He's also, again, huge kudos to taking the jump, taking the leap to staff our full-time health educator. And I have a significant feeling that's a significant reason why he was honored with this particular award. He just really understands the whole child model. And that's reflective if you walk into Hillcrest Elementary School. The next one is Erica Bickle, and I'll try to work with both these folks at the same time. Erica is from Middletown Middle, and then Michael Campanelli, previously at Hillcrest, and has received a transfer to Centerville Elementary School, where he is now. His accolades were accredited during his experiences at Hillcrest, but both have received the Simon McNeely Award from Shape Maryland. That's an award to just highlight innovative teaching, being able to collaborate, problem solve, but also to give very high yield results to students' experiences in physical education. So we want to give a quick shout out to both Erica and Michael for their accomplishments at their respective schools. And then one that didn't make the copy, and I think I've missed this one, the timing was just right. So last week I was just recently informed, Joelle Grossnickel, she is split between Centerville Elementary and at Yellow Springs, has written a grant. She just recently received notice that her grant was approved. And she will be implementing, I'm gonna make sure I get this correct, the World Eskimo India Olympics unit. She was able to go on her own to a service learning project into Alaska this past summer, and thought what a wonderful experience this would be to bring back the students, particularly at Yellow Springs Elementary. So I'm excited for Joelle, the students. I recently visited there. I need to be there in about 30 minutes. Just kind of an aside on that. But we're going to learn more about the plans that she has to implement that curriculum and giving folks a multicultural type of experience, and basically gleaning from the things that she was able to experience when she was working with world athletes in Alaska. Really, really cool information. So with that, we'll just kind of end with opportunity for questions for Brian or myself with any of the things we've discussed.
And I know our folks online have to go, but please have us invited. Please extend an invitation to the board to come out and visit. That sounds really interesting.
I'll get exact dates. It's February, but I'll get exact dates.
Mr. J, Ms. Allen?
No questions, but thank you so much for understanding today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Same here. Thank you for the information. I appreciate it. I'm a big supporter of physical education, and I think it should start at the pre-K level. I think that's awesome. Thank you for your work.
Thank you,
Thank
Bev.
Thank you.
I know they're gonna have to be jumping on soon. I just wanted to say, Mr. Rose and Ms. Lieberman and I were at Butterfly Ridge last Wednesday, and a week ago, and as we're leaving, Emily Bowser comes in the door, and I introduce her as Emily Bowles. Laughed and went, oh, I need to email, which I never did, but because she graduated from high school with my son, as did Liz Metz, who actually went to pre-K with my son, so we go way back, but it was great people. So,
Very valuable members of our team.
Yes.
So impactful.
yes, very much so. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. So just future schedule, we'll be back in January in 2024. A very large number in my mind. It's hard to believe that we're at 2024, but we'll be giving updates in English language arts. We've got a lot going on there in regard to high quality instructional materials, which is a big initiative in the state and here at FCPS as well as our science team will be here.
And I would just ask that, seems that we have to keep reinforcing that, yes, we are doing science of reading, and so if that
Yeah.
can be brought up in any way,
Absolutely.
shape, or form, that would be, for the public. that would
It'll
be
run all the
helpful.
way through that presentation, as a matter of fact. Yeah, in fact, we are in the process right now of working across all departments in the ACTS division to submit our comprehensive literacy plan to the state as part of our blueprint requirement. So we will have that off to the state probably in mid-January. It's kind of a plan that writes itself because we have been doing such great work and we have clear plans as to where we're headed. So we'll hope to wrap that up in January and get that off to the state.
And I serve on the Professional Standards and Teacher Education
Yeah.
Board as the MAID representative, and prior to Mr. Choudhury's leaving, we kept having on our agenda science of reading, and it kept getting pushed off. But at some point, it's got to come back, and So that'll be.
So I do know that the interim state superintendent, Dr. Wright, is a strong advocate for science reading, did a lot of work in that area in Mississippi. And I actually had an opportunity to hear her speak about a month ago, and it was at a kind of a gathering of a number of literacy-related organizations, including school district, private sector, public libraries, those types of groups. And she made it pretty clear that that's a big focus of her. So we'll have to wait and see who the permanent superintendent of the state of Maryland schools will be, but I suspect that theme will continue.
I'm just gonna say, ma'am, that gave public comment, if you could just see Ms. Raines with your name, I completely forgot to get your name just for the record. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right,
We're adjourned.
and we're adjourned.
All right, thank you.